Hello everyone. I'm Professor Shilpa from Department of Professional Management Studies, Prithvi Jayanti deemed to be University. Today, let us discuss a very important managerial topic, planning. Planning is the first and foremost fundamental function of management. It bridges the gap between where we are now and where we want to go. Through this session, we will understand what planning means, its steps, nature, and importance. Planning is all about determining in advance what to be done, when to be done, how it to be done, and why it is to be done. It sets the direction for the organizational future activities. In simple words, planning means deciding today for tomorrow. It involves setting objectives, choosing the best course of action to achieve them. For example, before launching a new product, a company must plan its market research, budget, and timelines. So I hope you understood what is planning now. Now we will look into the definition of planning. Planning can be defined as deciding in advance the objectives to be pursued, selecting the best alternative course of action, and specifying the resources needed, whether the technical, financial, or human. So planning is both decision making and resource allocating process. So, what do we understand with this? So, before we do any activity, it is required that we need to plan in advance and we need to understand that what are the resources which is needed to complete that particular task. Now, we will see what are the steps in planning. So, as we said, the first step in planning is establishing of objectives. So, without setting of the objectives, we cannot start the planning. So, the planning always starts with setting objectives, and objectives provide direction and the focus. They tell managers and employees what the organization wants to achieve. For example, an objective could be increase sale by 10% in the next financial year. So that is an objective being set, and based on that objective, we will be making the steps and what are the things to be done to achieve the respective objective what has been set by the organization. Moving on to the second steps in planning, it is about collection and forecasting of information. Once objectives are set, the next step is collecting and forecasting information. So here, the managers needs to gather the data about the internal environment, like resources and capabilities, and the external environment, like competitors and market trends. Here, the forecasting helps us to anticipate what are the future opportunities and the challenge. So I hope you have understood in the second step, what are we trying to do? So based on whatever objectives have been set, we understood what are the resources, what do we need to achieve these objectives. So in the step two, we are trying to collect all the necessary information, what will help us to achieve the objective. Where the managers, it is mandate that they need to gather both the internal environment information as well as the external environment. When we talk about the market environment is consist of internal and external environment. And these internal environment factors are controllable, whereas external environment factors are uncontrollable. So this forecasting will help us to anticipate future opportunities and the challenges. The third step over here is establishment of planning premises. Here we make assumptions that expected environment in which plants will be operate. These assumptions are called planning premises. They could include economic conditions, government policies, or technological changes. Setting accurate premises make plant more realistic. Moving on to the fourth step. The fourth step speak about the search of alternatives. In these steps, managers identify all possible alternative course of action. For example, to increase market share, the firm might choose between price reduction, new product development, or expansion into new markets. Moving on to the step number five. Once we have identified the alternatives, the step five speaks about choice of alternative course of action. After identifying the alternatives, the next step is to evaluate each one by weighing its pros and cons in light of available resources. So, what resources do we have with us, and what are the pros and cons of each alternative that would be checked over here in this particular step. The best and most feasible alternative is selected to achieve the objectives efficiently. The sixth step speaks about selection of plan, development of derivative plans. So here the main plan is finalized and derivative or the secondary plans are developed to support it. For example, if the main plan is launch a new product, derivative plans may include marketing, financial and manpower plans. So these derivative plans or the sub plans will help to achieve the main plan, and they specify the time schedule and sequence of tasks. Seventh step speaks about securing cooperation. For successful implementation, it is essential to get cooperation and commitment from employees. Managers should communicate the plan clearly, motivate the staff, as well as encourage the suggestion for the improvement. When employees feel involved, implementation becomes more smoother. So, securing cooperation is very much needed when you want your plan to be successful or when you want to achieve your objectives successfully. Step number 8, it speaks about follow up and appraisal of plans. So after implementation, the plan performance must be appraised. Regular monitoring helps in identifying the deviations and take the corrective actions in necessary time. And follow up ensures continuous improvement and the adaptability of the plan. So these are the 8 important steps of our planning. Let's move on to the next topic, which speaks about nature of planning. So the first step or first nature of planning, it speaks about it is goal oriented. So here every plan aims to achieve the organizational objective. So whatever plans we are making, it is goal oriented, as well as every plan main objective of it is to achieve the organizational objectives. As we are doing the planning for the future, so it is future oriented function, so it anticipate future events and prepare for them. Thirdly, or the third important feature it speaks about, it is the primary function of management. Other functions like organizing and controlling completely depends upon the planning. So we all know the different functions of planning, which is been acronymed as POTSCRAB. But this is only possible when you do your first step, which is planning correctly. Then only all other functions will be depending upon the first step or first function if you have done correctly. Fourth one, it speaks about it involves choices. So managers must select the best option among many. So whatever alternative choices we have, it is the responsibility of the managers to select the best option, what is available on the alternatives. We call it as an intellectual process because it involves a lot of analysis. It cannot work on the guesswork, and lot of thinking ability is needed when you are planning. Moving on to the sixth nature of the planning. So planning is all pervasive because it has been done by the high level managers at the all the levels. Seventh one, it speaks about it is long range as well as short range. Depending upon what objectives have you set. So this planning can be done for the short term as well as it can be done for the long term as well. And moving on to the next nature of planning, it is a continuous process because conditions changes. So we cannot say that once you have planned that is fixed and you will not bring in any kind of changes in that plan and you will be very rigid. Based on the changes or the present conditions, you have to sometimes mold your plans or whatever things what you have planned that can also be changed. It must be actionable, meaning to it to be practical to be implemented. So when you're planning, it should not be planned in such a manner that it cannot be achieved. So something vague we cannot plan here. Whatever plans we are making, it needs to be actionable in nature. That means it should be practical to be implemented. Then we are saying that planning must be flexible. That means it should be able to adjust the environmental changes. And finally, it should be efficient in balancing cost with benefit. If you've been given a freedom of doing a planning for some event, just because you want the event to look very grand, you cannot say that you can go out of budget and you can plan something. So whatever plans you're making, it is important that it needs to be efficient and balancing cost with benefit. So I hope you have understood what is planning, what are the steps of planning, as well as what are the nature of planning. Thank you.